So I've covered a lot of political topics in my videos, but I've never really spoken on immigration because it's such a vast topic that if you say one thing, it could get twisted around so easily to make it seem like you're supporting something that you're not because there's so many. It's kind of complex. Like I could say I'm in favor of deportations and that'll get carried away. It'll be made out to something that it's not. Obviously, deportations of criminals that don't belong here, that have committed crime, that don't deserve to be in this country if they're doing things the wrong way. I can also say I'm in favor of having pathways to citizenship for undocumented immigrants here. Then someone else would say, well, they already broke the law when they came into this country. Well, you don't know that. You don't know how they came in here. They could have overstayed their visa or their work permit. So it's very complex again to the immigration topic. But what's going on right now in this day and age, what I saw today, I wanted to clear some things up for people that are just learning about immigration or just learning about what is going on or have never seen this before. One thing I really wanted to debunk was the whole thing about why weren't you outraged when Obama was deporting and how he was supposedly the deporter in chief. There's a lot of differences there to what's going on right now. What's interesting is that he deported less than the previous two presidents before him. So how is he the biggest deporter ever? Also, one thing that played a substantial role in his numbers of high deportations was the encounters at the border. They were being turned around at the border. And they were going after people that had criminal records. So when they had their hearing, if they had committed a crime, they were being deported. They weren't doing sweeping ICE raids across neighborhoods and cities. Yeah, there were some ICE raids here and there. I do remember seeing that, but not to the level what's going on, not the chaos that's been going on every day in cities all over the country. That never happened under Obama. What also didn't happen under Obama was demonizing every immigrant and blaming all the problems of this country on immigrants. Never did that happen. That's why there wasn't the divide that there is now, because now Trump and the administration for years and his campaign was to stop the illegal immigration, and they even blamed the housing crisis on immigrants. They blamed the high crimes on immigrants, when statistics show those born in this country are more likely to commit crimes and go to jail than those come from other countries than immigrants do. So there were several factors that contributed to the high deportation under Obama's terms. One of them was his era, the policies for security were a lot more robust. And they focused more on two things, on deporting criminals, unauthorized border crossers, apprehensions at the border. And yes, he did do a lot for immigrants. Let's not forget the whole DACA program, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. His administration created that path and made it eligible for immigrants to obtain driver's license, which was a big deal. It pretty much granted a temporary reprieve from being deported and being able to work and having undocumented immigrants eligible to remain in the country, especially those brought as children, and for those to be able to obtain a valid driver's license. I know several people, I have friends that benefited from Obama's actions to help childhood arrivals in this country. Overall, Obama's Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program played a significant role in enabling immigrants in some states, a lot of states, to obtain driver's license. That was a huge help. I know people who their lives literally changed for the better and are living here, you could say, the American dream, with a house, with a family, paying taxes, good citizens. So to think with the whole notion that just because you're here undocumented, you're officially a criminal, complete nonsense. But just to get one point across about the Obama era deportations. This graph here has great answers to explain the removals and where they concentrated. They concentrated on criminals, not on any everyday civilians like they are doing now. If you see this graph, the orange line is removals. This is from full Obama's term. The orange line is removals from interior of the U.S., meaning like what they're doing now. The light blue line that increased halfway through, that's removals from the border, directly from the border before they come in to the country and get established here. So as you can see, interior removals, those getting deported that are already here or have been here, decreased and had been decreasing throughout his 2 terms. And the removals at the border increased, while the total removals were kind of steady, decreased also towards the end. So what does that figure say? It says that they were not going after those already living here unless you committed a crime, then you were up for deportation. But that sharp decline from the beginning of his first term all the way to the end was not going after immigrants, undocumented immigrants that were already here, but more focusing on deterring them at the border. Like it says here, removal priorities were increasingly focused on removing non-citizens convicted of crimes. Convicted of crimes. Not going to court and trying to resolve your undocumented status. That's not a crime. So as we see with Obama, they focused on removing migrants from the border and those that were already convicted of crimes. Not what's going on right now. So there's a huge difference to that. So what was the whole point of campaigning on immigration and going after the criminals and removing the criminals from the country? If the goal is to take criminals off the street, why are they arresting immigrants with no criminal record? Why are the parents, the moms and the dads getting detained and getting arrested while they're picking up their kids in school, while they're going to their court hearings, while they're doing it the right way? A lot of those are arrested following the law, trying to correct their documentation status. So what is a crime in that? And then the one thing that I keep on trying to explain to people that they mindlessly argue is that being undocumented means you're committing a crime. Undocumented does not mean you're a criminal. Being undocumented in this country doesn't automatically mean someone entered illegally. There are multiple ways to enter the U.S. legally, through a visa, through a work permit, or seeking asylum, getting temporary work status, and becoming undocumented can happen when that legal status expires here. So contrary to what a lot of people believe, maybe what you believe too, being undocumented is not a criminal offense. It's a civil infraction, one that can be corrected. If you view every undocumented person as a criminal, I have news for you. You've likely absorbed a narrative that's rooted in political propaganda and not fact. So we've allowed refugees, European white refugees, to come into the country, right? I thought we were too full to accept asylum seekers. So if it's not obvious to you that these policies are disproportionately targeting brown-skinned immigrants, then you're really not paying attention. We are seeing people now, this is all over social media, acting like ICE agents when they are not. They're vigilantes dressed up, cosplaying, and they're operating all with that same belief that they're making everybody in society think that no immigrant deserves to be here. These arrests aren't just about law enforcement. It's all become like a numbers game. Congress showed that what they're trying to pass, how they're offering bonuses up to $40,000 to meet their goals, to meet their quotas. And now immigrants are like turning into like numbers. It's like a numbers game. And then at the same time, we're being told they have to cancel research in science, with the weather, cancer research, school programs, Medicaid, but yeah, we have enough money to keep on throwing it away. We have enough money to keep on investing in deportations. That got me thinking too, where are all the small government Republicans at? Where are all the so-called, anti-government, freedom-loving patriots, the ones who loudly defend the Second Amendment and talk about protecting themselves from government overreach? The government overreach that's happening now. It's this kind of intrusion that we're seeing that you claim to oppose so much, that government overreach. Breaking into the homes, they're trying to make it lawful to go into a home without a warrant if they suspect an immigrant is there. Not an immigrant that's a criminal, just an undocumented person. And they're dragging people out of cars. They're breaking their windows. They're denying the due process, forcibly removing individuals from the country. So if that's what you think law and order is, I think it needs to be re-examined in your head, in society, who is being protected and who deserves to be punished. We know what's happening. We've seen what happened in LA today, June 6th. This kind of enforcement, we see it's tearing families apart. It's destabilizing communities, neighborhoods, and it's undermining any sense of justice that we're supposed to have. I honestly feel the majority of Americans are not going to tolerate this. Continuing down this path that we're going to right now is not bringing any security to the lives here. It's going to just continue to bring more division and more deeper unrest. If you're in your early 20s or if you're 18, 19, this topic has been talked about for decades by every president, by every presidential candidate. And they've all cited that, oh, we need a better immigration policy, immigration reform. This administration seems to have taken giant steps backwards in resolving these issues. We need immigration reform that's grounded in some kind of fairness, some kind of humanity and reality, not this continuous like fear, this racism, this whole political theater. It's not getting us anywhere. It's complete nonsense. It's dividing the country and it's leading us straight down another potential civil war. So that's all I have to say about that.